Jon Green does what Jon Green does, right? He's a charmer. He's a smooth talker. I think he could talk his way into anyone's life. Beneath the surface, there's something really dark.
Is this a man who just happens to have really bad luck? Or is he a bad guy?
He's a bad guy.
We had good times together. I never felt like I'm with a bad person.
I think he's unlucky. I think he's unlucky.
We were so happy when he met Kim Lark, his wife. They went skiing together, they loved dogs together. I had not seen him so happy in all these years that we've known him.
I think Jon Green saw Dr. Kim and saw dollar signs.
You think he targeted her?
Yeah, I do.
It all turned sour really quick. They were not only separating, but he took the dogs.
She loves her dogs. Those are her babies. It's like if he had taken her children.
He's stealing your dogs? He's kidnapping your dogs?
Oh, I was scared to death that he would get rid of them.
Now it became just one thing after another. He's on the road and on the run.
With the dogs.
He's actually arrested in San Antonio.
He's a thief, he's a liar, a con artist.
At Eddy County Detention Center, I met Jon, and he kept asking me if I knew somebody that could kill his wife.
So here's my husband in jail talking with somebody about the various different ways to kill me and take care of the body.
Do you believe that this was a real plan?
Yes.
This isn't the first time he's been in question of a heinous crime. If he did it once, he can do it again.
Who was this man, really?
He wasn't Jon Green. His real name was Ted Maher, and he had been convicted of an arson resulting in the death of a billionaire.
I am innocent as charged!
So much of it still remains a mystery. I mean, this guy's story is just crazy.
Carlsbad, New Mexico, a small city dwarfed by a vast dirt-red desert, was home to Jon Green in 2017. That was the year a routine medical exam would become a turning point for him and his new doctor, Kim Lark. The very first day when he walks in, how would you have described him?
Smiling, happy, wanted to talk, just kind of made you feel comfortable.
Months later, they began texting, then dating.
He liked everything that I liked. We started skiing together. We started riding bikes together.
Early in their relationship, Kim says, Green told her about his troubled past, that he had been falsely accused of arson more than 20 years ago, causing the deaths of 2 people, including a billionaire banker in Monte Carlo.
I believed him at first. I kind of believed his side of the story.
She says she wanted to believe the best about the new man in her life.
He said all the right things. He did all the things that I needed my best friend to be.
By the time they married on Valentine's Day 2020, they'd already settled into a comfortable life. Kim had a lucrative medical practice, an $800,000 retirement account tucked away, and a home on 4 acres outside of town. At that time, did you realize what he was capable of?
No, I had no idea.
I think he's motivated by money, motivated by power.
Molly Forster, a documentary filmmaker and CBS News consultant, has spent years reporting Green's story for a new series streaming on the Epis online platform.
He liked skiing. It's just like he was a chameleon.
She says the man who calls himself Jon Green has led a life of deception.
He's been able to fool a lot of people and caused a lot of trauma.
Trauma that would eventually crumble their marriage in just a few years, says Kim.
Just because he's so willing to lie, cheat, steal.
In April 2022, Kim noticed her checkbook was missing.
And that's when the bank called me and said, hey, did you write this check?
She learned that her husband, seen here on bank security footage, was trying to cash thousands of dollars in checks by forging her name at banks all over town. Kim filed for divorce and changed the locks on her house. About a month later, he stole something else from her that mattered a lot more than money. He's kidnapping your dogs?
My dogs and my vehicle, yeah.
Storm, Zero, and Felony are not only precious pets, they're extremely valuable, highly trained search and rescue dogs, says Kim, and she is their trainer.
We have a really special bond. My dogs are with me 24/7.
For years, Kim and her canine companions have assisted FEMA during national disasters and law enforcement at crime scenes.
He could have taken anything except my dogs.
And Zero was pregnant at the time.
I really was scared to death.
Kim believed her estranged husband might have taken the dogs to Texas, and she found someone there who could help. Abel Pena had 26 years with the FBI before he retired and founded a nonprofit called Project Absentus to help find missing people. What is the difference between looking for missing people and missing dogs?
Dogs don't maintain a paw print online. It's more challenging to try and find dogs.
It was more than a month before he got a good tip, and it wasn't about the dogs, but about Green himself. On June 13, 2022, Pena called law enforcement for help staking out a parking lot in San Antonio. Shortly after Green arrived in a BMW, authorities arrested and charged him with forgery and larceny. He had changed his appearance, shaving his head.
I ran over to the vehicle, looked in the back windows to see if the dogs were there. The dogs were not there.
But Pena had another lead and headed to a nearby house belonging to the aunt of one of Green's friends.
I knock on the door and I'm greeted by an older woman. She was like, I know why you're here, come on in.
He found Kim's dogs in a back bedroom, and by then, Zero had multiplied. There were now 8 puppies in a box. And how did you feel?
I was ecstatic.
Abel Pena took all 11 dogs to his house and waited for Kim to arrive.
Look what we have here.
Come on, Philly.
My girls were so happy to see me. I was so relieved.
And it was a fantastic ending.
Kim was so thankful she named one of the puppies Abel after the man who had found them.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
See you later.
Did you think at that point you had it all behind you?
Yes.
The forgery and larceny charges landed Jon Green here, locked up in the Eddy County Detention Center in Carlsbad, where he met this man, Greg Markham, detained on drug charges. Was he angry with Kim?
Oh, he's furious with her.
Markham says they bonded over a chessboard.
I played chess with him every day. Got to know the guy. He kept asking me if I knew somebody that could kill his wife.
Greg Markham says he saw an opportunity to make Jon Green his pawn.
And I was like, you know what, man? I can't find anybody. I'll do it. How do you want it done?
So you promised to kill his wife?
I said, oh yeah, man, I'll do it. I'll do it for you.
Were you going to?
No.
Markham says he's a con man, not a hitman, and was never serious about killing Kim Lark.
I was living on my own. It's me and my dog.
He desperately needed bail money, he says, to save his dog Atlas from being euthanized.
I gotta convince this guy to bomb me out so I can go take care of my dog, make sure he's okay.
He says Green paid for the bail.
Once he was convinced that I was gonna do it, he wouldn't stop talking about it. Let's talk about it again. What are you gonna do?
Markham says Green had a specific way he wanted his wife to die. He concocted a lethal plot to poison Kim, forcing her to drink water laced with fentanyl to look like an overdose.
Yeah, I was supposed to mix up fentanyl pills and make sure she drank the whole water bottle.
If she refused, says Markham, Green's grisly plan was to aim a gun, not at Kim, but at her beloved dogs.
And she'll do whatever you want done.
Jon Green fiercely denies all of it and was determined to fight the charges against him, as he had before, in another courtroom on another continent. 26 years earlier, a roaring inferno engulfed a Monte Carlo penthouse, killing the billionaire and his private nurse. At the fiery center of that mystery was the very same man with a very different name. Sun-drenched, laid-back Carlsbad, New Mexico isn't the only place where this man made headlines.
One of the world's richest bankers died today in a...
It isn't the first time he was accused of a major crime.
An American male nurse.
And Kim Lark is not the only woman who loved him.
I've saved every rose he gave me.
Every rose he's given you since you've known him?
Yeah.
It was 2002 when I first met Heidi Westrow. She was married to the man who would one day become Jon Green. His name then, Ted Maher. That name would become known around the world. The couple lived in New York and had 2 children together, meeting in nursing school.
What kind of nurse is he?
He's a neonatal intensive care nurse. Some pictures with kids, just some of the infants that he took care of.
Ted told her about his time serving as a Special Forces Green Beret. He seemed defined by intensity and compassion.
He always put others first. He was just so loving, so caring, and I wanted someone like that.
His compassion was on display in the summer of 1999 in the neonatal unit where Ted worked, when 2 grateful new parents connected him to the job of a lifetime.
To take care of a rich banker who we never heard of to be his private nurse. He had Parkinson's disease.
Edmund Safra was that rich banker, and he wasn't just regular rich. He was one of the richest men on earth. The bank, Safra owned it, living with his elegant wife Lily in this penthouse above this bank branch. Here in the Monte Carlo district of glittering diamond-sized Monaco, tucked along the exclusive French Riviera.
Obviously, we've never seen the world, like that.
So when Safra made the offer, Ted couldn't refuse, says Heidi, despite having to leave his family.
We thought, this is just temporary and we have the rest of our lives to get together afterwards.
It was that October when Maher's fascinating new job brought him to Monaco.
It was just a different world, he kept saying. He liked it. He liked Mr. Safra very much. They got along well.
Maher sometimes worked the night shift, at times with nurse Vivian Torrente. Along with his private duty nurses, Safra also kept a personal security force for protection.
We didn't know who this man was. It was all new to us.
December 3rd, 1999.
I was getting the kids off to school in the morning as usual, and I got a phone call, and it was Ted's sister, who sounded upset and crying. She asked me to turn on the news.
2 masked men armed with knives invaded the Riviera penthouse of Edmund Safra.
It was a startling report about intruders and a fire in the Safra penthouse. Just 5 weeks after her husband left for Monaco, the billionaire who brought him there and nurse Vivian Torrente were dead. Autopsies would determine they had both died from smoke poisoning, and Ted was wounded and bloody. Ted would tell authorities a story that would be discussed and debated for years. He said that intruders broke into the penthouse, attacked and stabbed him, that he scrambled to get help while his boss took shelter in a bathroom. Ted says he lit a small fire with a candle and paper towels in a trash basket, thinking the fire department would respond quickly.
He knew the smoke detectors were direct access to the fire department, so he wanted to set that off.
Back in New York, Heidi was worried and she contacted Safra's office. She wasn't surprised at what she heard.
They said that Ted was indeed a hero that night. I said, that's Ted.
And within hours, Heidi headed to Monaco.
I was to go straight to the hospital to see Ted.
Did you?
No.
Instead, soon after arriving, Heidi says she was intercepted by police. She had been told that Ted acted like a hero. That was about to change. As police questioned her, Heidi says it became clear they thought her husband might be a killer. She alleges they took her passport and used it as a weapon against Ted.
When my passport was taken, they brought it to Ted to get him to confess for this. And he was told then that I was strip searched and tortured, and I would not be allowed to leave the state of Monaco back to our family.
She said that threat caused Ted to falsely confess. He would now say there were no intruders, that he had taken a knife and that he had stabbed himself to make it look like he had tried to save his powerful boss from attackers.
They're saying he gave himself a lidocaine injection prior to stabbing himself.
And lidocaine what? Deadness?
Would numb it.
And Heidi says the confession he signed was written in French, which Ted did not understand.
I feel they wanted a nice, clean ending to this quick. It would be good for the state of Monaco to have their citizens feel safe.
Ted was locked up, charged with arson and intentional act, leading to the deaths of Safra and Torrente. He faced life in prison if convicted at trial.
This is someone I know. I know he didn't do this.
Tonight's 48 Hours will continue.
A family patriarch disappears. The blame game goes round and round.
It's a homicide.
Absolutely. Follow and listen to Blood is Thicker, the Ferris Wheel, on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
With the strike of a match, Ted Maher's dream job went up in smoke. 2 people were dead, and Ted was now being blamed.
I've known him now 13 years. He would never hurt anyone.
Monaco's chief prosecutor says an American male nurse confessed to starting the fire that killed Safra and another nurse.
The death of Edmund Safra exploded into a sensational story that would fascinate authors Jennifer Thomas and her husband, Bill Hayes.
If you saw this on the screen, you'd be going, none of this makes sense. This doesn't happen.
There were allegations, none of them substantiated, that might have supported Ted's original claim about intruders. Talk that Safra had enemies, that he had been the victim of a Russian mob hit.
Safra had an awful lot of connections to Russia.
And rumors were inflamed by a suspicious discovery. Heidi told us that the night of the fire, Safra's private force of security guards were oddly not on site.
Was that usual?
It's unheard of.
There were also whispers about Safra's stylish wife, Lily.
The rumors about her and her previous husbands.
Lily had been married 4 times, with one other husband also deceased, prompting more conjecture.
She is rumored to be a black widow who has inherited a lot of money from her husbands.
But police believe Ted was responsible for 2 deaths. It would take 3 long years to bring Ted to trial.
Hello?
Hello, Heidi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Okay.
And in that time, Heidi was only occasionally able to speak to Ted from his prison on the Mediterranean Sea.
I'm not an arsonist or a murderer. It goes against everything that I've done in my entire life.
I try to be strong because I know he needs my strength too.
Never forget this, Heidi. Never. I love you.
I love you.
The happiness of a man in his life, Heidi, doesn't consist of in my absence, but in what I retain and hold in my heart. So you be strong.
I just wish this wasn't my life.
We're going to the prison, the Maison d'Arrêt.
New York lawyer Michael Griffith joined Ted's defense team. Griffith had made a name for himself defending Americans abroad. Ted Maher became a client, and a tough one.
Okay, let me go through some of the odd things about this case. Is there any evidence, other than what Ted said initially, any evidence of 2 intruders?
There is no evidence that I know of any intruders.
Instead, Griffith would argue that Ted did what authorities said. He stabbed himself and set the fire, but that he never intended for anyone to die. He was just trying to make himself look like a hero.
Ted is the fireman who started the fire. Firemen who start fires do it, not to hurt people, but to save people.
Are you saying that you believe Ted actually did start the fire, cut himself to make himself look like a hero?
I believe that's what Ted did.
Did he actually tell you he did this himself?
Well, yeah, he told me that he did this to himself, and that's the basis of our defense.
Griffith contends that no one would have died that night if police and firefighters had gotten to the victims faster. It took them about 2.5 hours to reach Safra in Torrente. But authorities say they got to the scene in minutes, but had to be careful and slow their response because Ted told them there were violent intruders inside.
He's totally liable of the circumstances that he created.
In 2002, attorney Mark Banan spoke to 48 Hours. He represented Safra's widow, Lily. He says the rumors about her are false.
It's not only it's not true, obviously, it is scandalous. Lily is devastated by what happened.
November 2002. Heidi traveled to Monaco as the trial began. Ted was facing possible life in prison.
Do you think your husband will get a fair trial in Monaco?
Not at all.
Why not?
They have the reputation of Monaco on the line, and they would never risk that.
She wasn't happy when Ted testified that there had been no intruders and that he had in fact stabbed himself. And she was furious that Griffith allowed Ted to take the blame for something she believes he didn't do.
Heidi believes with all her heart that Ted didn't do this, that he's being forced to say he did it. I mean, what's the truth here?
Well, all I know is Ted is my client. I know what Ted has told me.
He was told this is the best way to go.
Heidi, I don't know what to tell you. All I know is I'm doing my job based upon what my clients told me. And I guess you're going to have to...
And this is our life. This is
your life.
This is Ted's
right,
life.
Right.
Ted Maher was convicted of arson, leading to the death of 2 people.
Yeah, we were disappointed in the...
He was sentenced to 10 years.
Heidi?
To Heidi, it was the end of life as she had known it.
Yeah, she's upset.
And then in January, just 7 weeks after the trial, Ted called Heidi from outside the prison.
Ted said, "It's me. I'm out."
He had cut the metal bars, scaled down the prison walls, and escaped.
I said, "You're joking." And he says, "No, I'm out." He asked for money, and I said no, and he got angry at me.
Ted's freedom was short-lived. The next day, he was back in custody. Heidi was furious that he would risk so much, including having his sentence extended. She says her faith in Ted had run out.
I don't need him, and I don't want him. I did the best I could to bring him home, but now it seems like he's doing his own job of screwing up.
Heidi filed for divorce. As for Ted, he was released in 2007. When he landed at JFK, the woman who had believed in him was nowhere to be found. But Ted would eventually find others in his corner, those authors, Jennifer Thomas and Bill Hayes. Together with Ted, they would write Framed in Monte Carlo. Ted was back to insisting that while caring for Edmund Safra, he was attacked by violent intruders.
What they had accused him of doing didn't make any sense why anybody would do that in the first place. And so everything he said made perfect sense when he told us the story.
What Thomas and Hayes found intriguing was a report in a French newspaper. According to Le Figaro, at an unrelated hearing, a judge who served on Ted Maher's case had claimed Ted's sentence had been predetermined before the trial even began.
And in your mind, the real story is this guy was set up.
100%.
Back in the States, Ted was alone. Steady work, tough to find. Especially if your name was Ted Maher.
And that new name?
Jon Green.
Tonight's 48 Hours will continue.
48 Hours is back.
With 48 Hours.
And so is the official after show podcast, Post Mortem.
Great to be with you again.
Where we bring you a closer look at each case.
This was one of the most emotional interviews.
Follow and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
In his first 10 years back in the United States, Jon Green tried to shed his alter ego, Ted Maher of Monaco. He found a new job driving trucks and began a new romance with Dr. Kim Lark, who he went on to marry in 2020. But the marriage crumbled, and in 2023, Green found himself facing a new charge: solicitation to commit first-degree murder.
Dr. Lark is a big name in this town. She's well known by a lot of people.
Green was still behind bars for forging those checks and stealing the dogs when Detective Garrett Silva of the Eddy County Sheriff's Office began investigating the alleged plot that Green made with his jailmate, Greg Markham, to murder Kim.
Greg Markham was hired by Jon Green to kill his wife.
It was a charge that Green vigorously denied when investigators interviewed him in September of 2023.
On harming Dr. Lark, is there anything that we need to be aware about for her safety and or yours?
No, absolutely not. None.
I think you know where we're going with this.
You think that I'm going to have somebody harm Kim? Absolutely not.
But authorities weren't persuaded. Jon Green's trial began on March 3rd, 2025. Prosecutor Martin Wolfson called his star witness Greg Markham to the stand.
Mr. Markham, did Jon Green instruct you on how you should carry the murder out?
Yes, in great detail.
Kim Lark took us through the house where it was supposed to happen. What's he supposed to do?
Turn off the power to the house.
I've been an electrician for 19 years. I knew how to do that.
And where was he going to be?
He was supposed to be hiding in the carport.
Now, this used to be a carport here.
Well, he said, she's kind of pretty frail. You're a big guy.
Markham says the plan was for him to overpower Kim and grab the gun she kept in the center console of her car.
Apparently, he was going to bring me into the house. He told him how to control my dogs.
Show it to me.
Yeah, so you're raising your hands up as high as you can get, and you yell down as loud as you can, and slam your hands down. And them dogs stop, and they won't move until given another command.
According to Markham, Green also told him where he could find Kim Lark's safe.
You would only know that if somebody told you that, right?
Exactly.
There's no way you would.
Yeah.
But defense attorney Blake Duggar told the jury Greg Markham is no angel and that they shouldn't believe a word he says.
One of the greatest powers you have today is the power to judge someone's credibility.
Greg Markham is an individual with a checkered past who really tried to take advantage and did take advantage of Jon Green.
But the state presented evidence they say proves Greg Markham was telling the truth. A diagram Markham made with similarities to the interior of Kim's house. He testified Jon Green had detailed it to him as part of the murder plot.
He described a long hallway beside the back door.
And prosecutors had evidence that Green was in a hurry to get money to pay Markham for the hit. Jail calls between Green and author Jennifer Thomas, who was managing his finances while he was behind bars. Green called her multiple times asking her to wire $2,500 to an intermediary. First, he said he wanted the money to buy a trailer, but his story kept changing.
Would that be a pain for you to do?
There's many ways I could send money to him.
Thomas eventually did what Green asked, but she was stunned when she learned the prosecutors believed the money was really partial payment in a murder for hire.
You had gotten the money for him.
I was freaked out.
She said she and Hayes were relieved when the DA decided they had not knowingly done anything wrong. Blake Duggar insisted his client didn't either, arguing even Greg Markham's diagram wasn't damning because it could have been cooked up after a casual conversation with Green.
It is not a crime for a man to proudly describe how his house looks to other people.
Jon Green didn't testify, and Duggar didn't call any witnesses, believing that prosecutors had failed to prove their case. After just 2 days, it was in the jury's hands.
I was feeling good. I was feeling good.
The jury deliberated for only about an hour.
We find the defendant, Jon Green, guilty.
They convicted him of solicitation to commit first-degree murder.
His lying has finally caught up with him.
Judge David Finger sentenced Jon Green, a.k.a. Ted Maher, to 9 years in prison. With time served, he'll be out in less than 3. For nearly 25 years, we've had questions for Ted Maher. New Mexico authorities barred our cameras from the prison. But in March of 2026, Ted's attorney, Blake Duggar, arranged a video visit with him, and Ted allowed us to interview him. Did you try to hire someone to kill your wife?
No, I did not. Absolutely not. I shouldn't be here. But unfortunately, I am here.
Once again, Ted says he was framed. He would never instruct someone to hold a gun to a dog's head, he says, and he claimed that he only gave Greg Markham the $2,500 to help rescue Markham's dog, not to murder Kim.
You don't pay somebody $2,500 to kill anybody. That is absolutely ridiculous.
But how then did Markham seem to know so much about the layout of Kim Lark's house?
But this was the basic layout.
Markham made us a diagram too.
I knew where the keys were.
And we compared it to the house itself. It wasn't exactly a match, but there were disturbing similarities.
It shows where the power source is.
Right.
And where the safe was. Is that right?
Yes.
He did a drawing of her house. How would he have those details if you didn't give it to him?
That drawing was not at all very 100% factual.
Then you had like a dining room.
Ted echoed what his lawyer argued in the trial. Whatever Markham knew about the home's layout came from innocent conversations.
I explained how I had done electrical panels, and I talked about how I took out a bookcase to put a safe at a high level so she wouldn't have to bend down.
In fact, he told us he was a doting husband, devoted to making life easier for Kim. You said you loved Kim Lark.
I still love her.
He admitted he forged her signature on a check, but said as the marriage crumbled, he had no income and needed money. And he said he had a right to the dogs, since his divorce settlement with Kim hadn't been finalized yet.
Those dogs were still community property now.
Just like he once claimed in Monaco, he told us he's an innocent and fundamentally good man, taken advantage of by others. As you sit here today, do you feel responsible for Edmund Safra's death?
No, I don't.
But the couple who once believed Ted Maher's proclamations of innocence
I'm not responsible for the death of 2 people.
now wonder what really happened on the December night in Monte Carlo that ended with the deaths of a billionaire and his nurse.
There is a chance, in my mind now, that he did orchestrate that.
Bill Hayes still believes Ted told the truth about intruders attacking him that night. But Hayes and Thomas agree that when it comes to Ted's plot to kill Kim Lark, the plot they say he sucked them into, he is guilty as charged.
I feel betrayed.
I would want to know why you lied.
And while we may never know the whole truth for sure, we found evidence that Ted had hedged one of his most basic claims, which he repeatedly made over the years. Were you, in fact, Special Forces and a Green Beret?
I went through all 3 phases.
You're saying you went through the training.
I finished the 3 programs.
Come on, Ted, don't double talk here.
I never was assigned to a unit as a Green Beret.
So you never served as a Green Beret?
I went down into Special Forces. Yes, I did.
If Ted Maher didn't give us a straight answer, the Army certainly did, telling us, quote, "There is no evidence that Theodore Maher served in the Special Forces."
He's a thief, he's a liar, a con artist.
And Kim Lark says she's worried she hasn't seen the last of him.
When he gets out, I'll be in trouble.
Does Kim Lark have a reason to be scared of you?
No, absolutely not.
There's no telling what he may do.
Detective Garrett Silva, who helped piece the murder solicitation case together, was promoted to sergeant with the K-9 unit. He told us that if he were in Kim's position, he would keep a dog by his side for protection. And that's exactly what Kim Lark is doing.
I don't trust anybody. I'm always on alert.
She told us Ted has demanded money as part of their divorce, and she's infuriated. Kim admits that anger can be lonely.
Come on, pal Bell.
But anyone who knows Kim knows
Yeah, we're just going for a ride.
she's never really alone. Kim, do they follow you everywhere?
Yes.
Oh my God, that makes me laugh.
Dogs just want to be with you all the time.
And you can trust them.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Welcome back to another episode of 48 Hours Postmortem. I'm your host, Anne-Marie Green, and today we are talking about the man with two names. The first name, Jon Green. He is serving time for soliciting the murder of his wife in New Mexico. He was also convicted for forging checks and larceny. But more than 20 years earlier, this same man, then known as Ted Maher, was at the center of an international mystery involving a billionaire in Monaco. So joining me now to unpack this intercontinental criminal decades-long saga, our 48 Hours correspondent, Erin Moriarty, and producer, Josh Yager. Thanks for joining us, Erin and Josh.
Hi, Anne-Marie. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's great being here because I think Josh would agree with me. This is one of the more unusual defendants we've ever run into, wouldn't you say?
I would say so. We've both been doing this job a long time, and it's hard to get to know him, hard to know what to believe, and it's been an adventure covering him.
So speaking of that, you all have actually been covering Ted Maher, Jon Green since 2002.
Well, not exactly. I mean, we really thought back then when that story ended, when he was convicted, that we had seen the last of him. So,
Right.
I mean, I think Josh and I were both surprised that he would come back into our radar screen with a whole other crime.
Okay, so there is obviously a lot to talk about. Before we get going, of course, a reminder for everyone, if you haven't watched or listened to this episode, it's called The Man with Two Names. Go check it out and then come on back for our conversation here at Postmortem. So first, we're going to take you back to the late 1900s, more specifically, December 3rd, 1999. In the early morning hours, emergency responders arrived at the Monte Carlo penthouse of billionaire Edmond Safra. There had been a fire, and both Safra, along with his nurse, her name is Vivian Torrente, they've died from smoke poisoning. Well, soon after, an American, then known as Ted Maher, was arrested. Josh, Maher is working as a nurse, but how does this American nurse find himself involved in the life of an international financier, one of the wealthiest men in the world?
It's just an amazing story and an incredibly lucky turn of events in his life. At least it seemed so at the time. He'd been working as a nurse in a hospital in New York City, and he was in the neonatal unit. According to his wife at the time, he had taken care of twins at the hospital, but when the babies were allowed to go home, the parents mistakenly left behind a camera, which turns out to have had the very first pictures of the babies on it. And he contacts them. Well, it turns out these parents, this couple, is a very wealthy couple who live in New York, who happen to be friends of Edmond Safra and his wife, Lily. And they're so grateful to Ted for returning their camera. And they say to Ted, "We have someone we'd like to introduce you to. a friend of ours happens to need a nurse. And the rest is history.
His wife at the time, she said that she felt that part of Safra's attraction to someone like Maher was that he was also purportedly a Green Beret, right, Erin?
Yes, but Anne-Marie, remember, Safra had Parkinson's, so he was sick. He wanted great care, but also Safra surrounded himself with security because he believed he had enemies who might come after him. So the fact that Ted Maher told people that he was a Green Beret, this appeared to be a perfect fit. A nurse who also had a military background. So Ted took the job, moving around with the Safras, sometimes going back home to New York and eventually ending up in Monaco with the Safras.
But then there is this fire. And there are all sorts of versions about how the events unfold, Erin. What do we know?
We know, for one thing, that Safra and his nurse died from smoke poisoning, as you had talked about. And the two had locked themselves into a secure room when Ted Maher alerted them that there were intruders in the apartment. Maher was, in fact, found wounded. At that time, he claimed he was stabbed by 2 intruders. He also said that the reason why he lit a small fire in a trash basket was because he thought that would set off the fire alarm and get help, thinking that the fire department, especially in Monaco, that small country, they would respond quickly. What did seem odd to observers at the time, this became a big deal afterwards, is that most of Safra's security wasn't there that night. So that seemed to be very strange. Maher's wife at the time told us that her husband was initially seen as a hero, but then later he was charged with arson, and in part because Maher signed a confession saying there were no intruders. He said he stabbed himself, then set that small fire. His lawyer, though, maintained that Ted never intended to kill anyone. He just wanted to look like a hero by saving his boss. And his attorney also said that no one would have died if the responders had gotten to the victims faster. But authorities blamed Ted because they said they did get to the scene in minutes, but they had to be careful and they slowed their response because Ted had told them that there were violent intruders inside at the scene.
So he is arrested. And Josh, you were in Monaco in 2002, and you are able to briefly film him in prison. You throw him a few questions, but I need to hear that story about how you even managed to do that.
Well, as a producer, you encounter lots of obstacles in the field, and your job is to get around them, over them, under them. In this case, we got over
above.
one. Above one, exactly. Monaco did not make Ted Maher available to the press for interviews, and we were afraid we weren't going to get to talk to him. But over the course of the trial, I noticed that when the court wasn't in session, he would come out into the prison yard, which was a sort of an asphalt surface with a cage around it, at roughly the same time every day. And there was one building right up next to the prison yard, which happened to be something like 10 stories tall. And so I took the crew and we somehow managed to talk our way through the lobby of this building and get permission to go up on the roof with our camera and our tripod. And right on schedule that day, he came out and he was by himself in the prison yard. We started filming immediately. I leaned over the wall and started yelling questions at him. And I said, "Did you do it?" He heard me and started answering.
Oh my gosh. I assume he said he didn't do it.
He said he was, as I recall, innocent as charged.
Yes.
Right? And I'm not responsible for the death of 2 people. That's my recollection of what he said.
That is fascinating. See, that's the kind of work that goes into getting these sort of amazing interviews, and this is next level. So in the end, Ted Maher was found guilty of arson, leading to the death of 2 people. He was then sentenced to 10 years in prison. But then, weeks later, he escapes. And we actually learned how he escaped from this prison because years later, he wrote a book about it, Erin.
Yes, that was the book Framed in Monte Carlo. According to that, he had cut the bars of his cell. This story is just So crazy. Then he used a rope made of trash bags and scaled the wall. He claimed that he had hacksaw blades smuggled in, hid them in the lining of his fridge, hid the trash bags in the prison library. I mean, doesn't sound like there was great security there.
Right.
And then he had to saw through multiple layers of bars. Again, according to the story he tells, it took 5.5 weeks to cut his way out. There should have been a movie made about this. Really, it's so crazy.
You think you've seen everything in this job, and I've seen a lot since then, but this still ranks up there among the most bizarre things that have ever happened. This is about a month or two after he's convicted. And it just so happened that Erin and I were back in Monte Carlo, sort of tying up loose ends on the story. And I'm in my hotel room, fast asleep. It must be 2:30 or 3 in the morning when my phone rings. I sit up in bed and I answer the phone, and it is Ted Maher's wife. She said, "My husband escaped. He just called me from outside of the prison, telling me he was out and asking for my help."
Oh my gosh.
I grabbed my mini DV camera and ran up to the prison. Wasn't very far away from the hotel. And I look up and I see a window on the side of the prison that's been pried open. So I film the open window and I head back to my hotel room, lie down in bed, and there's a knock on the door. And I am suddenly surrounded by police. I speak enough French to know that they wanted me to come down to the station.
Wow.
It's by now probably 4 in the morning. I remember the detective sitting there had a sort of cigarette with a long ash dangling off the end, and there was smoke curling up towards the ceiling. It's sort of something out of film noir. And I was sitting there and I said, "What's going on?" And I think I got the feeling that what they were worried about was, why did the American inmate escape on the same night that the American TV producer was up lurking around the prison in the middle of the night?
Right.
Finally, we cleared everything up and I got home and I saw Erin in the lobby, filled her in. I remember the look on her face. And that was just yet another weird little chapter in this.
I would have loved to see Erin's face when you were like, "Guess what I've been up to over the last 6 hours?"
Guess what Ted has been up to?
I know.
Yeah, indeed.
Freedom was not long for him. The next day, he was back in custody. And that is where sort of the story sort of ends, you think, for you two, right? Decades pass. But then, Josh, you just happened to be digging around recently.
So I'm sitting there in my office probably 2.5 months ago, 3 months ago. And it just popped into my head. I wonder what some of the truly outlandish people you have covered in your 30 years at CBS, what some of them are doing now. And the name that went immediately to the top of the list was Ted Maher. So I literally Googled him. I put his name into Google, and the first thing that popped up was about a documentary made primarily on the Monaco case that happened to be dropping that night. But then I looked below that on the Google search, and I learned that Ted Maher got out of prison in Monaco, came back to the United States, changed his name to Jon Green, and just last spring, the spring of 2025, was convicted for soliciting the first-degree murder of his wife in New Mexico. And my next move was immediately to call Erin and say, "Remember Ted Maher?"
So now Maher is charged with a new crime? You would think that he would come back to the United States, he would go back to nursing or something like that, but he would lead a straight and narrow life. But now this put a whole new wrinkle to the story. Who was this guy?
Welcome back. So you were able to interview some key figures in the life of Jon Green, as he's known now. Chief among them, his now ex-wife, Kim Lark. She's a retired physician in Carlsbad, New Mexico, and also the trainer and owner of search and rescue dogs. She met Green when he came into her office for a biopsy. She said they really hit it off. And Kim marries him in 2020. Did she know about his past, and did any of that give her pause?
That was one of my first questions, Anne Marie, because, she's a very smart woman. She's a doctor. But she said that very early in their relationship, John, because he went by the name Jon Green by then, he told her his real name, Ted Maher, and then he gave her the book, Framed in Monte Carlo. And of course, that book is all his side of the story. And she said to me that she believed him. And she thought that, in fact, he may have been unfairly blamed for the deaths. But I think she really wanted to believe him, too.
Right. Kim Lark said, I'm paraphrasing her, whatever I wanted my best friend to be, he was. And he had a way of just being who you needed him to be. And that resonated with me as something he perhaps has always known how to do.
He's a chameleon.
Right.
That's what I think he is. He's a chameleon.
I mean, the guy looks good on paper, right? Nurse, former Green Beret, and he loves dogs. But even with all of that, Kim is starting to have suspicions about this new man in her life. And I want to play an unaired clip of your interview with Kim.
Did you over time start thinking he would tell stories that put him in a good light?
Always. He liked to still tell stories and brag about things that he had done. And just little by little, I realized that a lot of them were stories.
Like what? What do you remember? Like any kind of story or anything that seemed to be a red flag?
We took a concealed weapons permit. Now, supposedly Ted is a Green Beret, and I'm no Annie Oakley, but I really outshot him with my right and my left hand.
What did you think?
I thought, oh dear God, he's lying about that.
When Kim told us that, we started doing research, and the Army told us there was no evidence that Ted served in the Special Forces. So when I got a chance to talk to him, I asked him directly about that. This is a man who could talk a lot and never give you a straight answer. So I kept asking him, were you a member of the Special Forces and the Green Beret? And he would say something like, well, I was never assigned to a unit at the Green Beret. So I then go, so you never served as a Green Beret? And he goes, yeah, I did. I was so confused, but I'm going with the Army on this one.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things we see a lot is in this job is people who know how to talk a lot while saying almost nothing.
Very little. Yes.
That's so true. Well, I'm sure when you're living with him, then this stuff pops up, more and more. And no surprise, his marriage goes south, really south. Green is charged for forging checks. He also receives several other charges that were later dropped. Kim then initiates divorce, but about a month after Green received those initial charges, Kim said he drove away with her dogs in the car. Why would he take them?
Okay, so the first thing I think you have to bear in mind about Kim Lark is she doesn't just love these dogs. Lots of people love their dogs. These dogs are the most important thing in Kim Lark's life, but they are also very valuable, very highly trained as search and rescue, disaster response, cadaver dogs. In fact, one of them is a descendant of a dog that Kim took to the Pentagon soon after 9/11. And helped look through the rubble of the Pentagon and respond to that disaster. And one of the dogs, whose name was Zero, was even pregnant when Ted took them. So these dogs are everything to Kim.
She was very scared that he might sell the dogs. I don't think she worried about him hurting the dogs because he cared about dogs as well. But she was scared she'd never see the dogs again.
Green is arrested, and then he ends up in this detention center. But then, of course, things get even worse. There's another person that is introduced into the story, Green's jailmate. His name's Greg Markham. What did he say happened?
So this is another unusual character. Greg Markham is a guy who was detained on drug charges when Jon Green got to the Eddy County Detention Center. So they were in jail together. And Markham said they struck up a sort of a casual friendship and started playing chess every day. Until one day, Markham told us that Jon Green asked him, "Do you know anyone who could and would kill my wife?" Referring to Kim Lark. So what happens, according to Greg Markham, is he said to Jon Green, "If you help me get money for bail to bond out of jail, I'll do it." He said that he never really planned to kill Kim Lark, but he wanted this bail money.
So Markham says that sort of this is the plan. Green describes the layout of Kim's home. There's a diagram that's drawn out. And the idea was to make her drink water laced with fentanyl, which seems like a plan that's got, a few holes in it.
More than a few holes.
I mean, what if he doesn't drink the water?
Markham, as Josh said, is quite the character. He says that Green told him that the way to force her to take fentanyl, is by pointing a gun, not at Kim, but at her dogs. And that she cared about her dogs so much she would do whatever she was ordered. And then the whole idea was once the deed was done, there was this code phrase, and it was supposed to be, "I walk the dogs." I mean, as you point out, Emery, it was a ridiculous plan. When I asked Kim about the plot, and remember, she's a tough chick. She said she would have refused to drink anything, and she would have fought like hell for her dogs if she had to. And of course, then when we talked to Jon Green, he denied all of this.
And the thing about Markham is that he's certainly no Boy Scout at all.
Mm-mm.
Well, Markham called himself a con man, not a hitman. One thing that he was unequivocal about, though, was that I may be a lot of things, but I'm not an assassin, and I would never kill anyone.
So then how was the plot ultimately uncovered?
So you have Green and Markham in jail, and there's another inmate who apparently overhears Green and Markham talking about this plot. That inmate takes it upon himself to write Kim Lark a letter. And in the letter, the inmate is saying to Kim, "Your husband is someone who's in jail with me, and I have the feeling he's planning to do something to you. If you want to know more details, I'm willing to tell you and also even get up in court and testify to this and do the right thing if you pay me."
Oh my gosh.
So what happens is he sends that letter to Kim, and she immediately gives it to authorities who track down the author of the letter and interview him. He leads them to Greg Markham, who corroborates the story and alleged plot.
So then Green goes on trial in March of 2025. He's charged with criminal solicitation to commit first-degree murder. Markham testifies against him. Green's found guilty. He's sentenced to 9 years in prison, but with time served, he could actually get out in less than 3 years. Erin, you managed to talk to Green. You get an interview with him. His attorney sets up a video conference, and you can ask him some questions. I imagine you must have mapped out your questions and you were ready to hit him.
Well, and remember, he's with me, but he's on video. It's almost like a Zoom interview. It really is. And so it was frustrating because while we could see him on screen, it's not quite the same. In many ways, even though, he had aged definitely over the years, he was the same guy after all these years, denied any kind of crimes, just as he always had. And as we've been saying throughout this, he has a way of saying a lot without answering your questions at all. It's very
always
frustrating.
So frustrating talking to people like that, especially when you know your time is limited. We saw some of the interview in the hour. Let's play some more of your conversation.
I have followed your life for the last 25 years. I mean, when you read your book, you seem to blame everything on somebody else.
Was I not framed in Monaco?
I'm just saying, what I'm saying is that when I look at your life over everything in Monaco and then here, you're always blaming somebody else. It's Kim and not you. Do you take responsibility for any of this?
Oh, I took the responsibility for what I did when I took the dogs, but what I did was in most Those actions was community property. I didn't take a gun to anybody's head. I didn't do anything that was going to harm anybody.
Ted, somebody listening to right now is listening to what sounds like a very angry man. I mean, did you want Kim Lark dead?
No, absolutely not.
I mean, you sound very angry. You sure you didn't, like, bring this up with Greg Markham?
No, absolutely not. Like I said, you don't pay somebody $2,500 to kill somebody.
That's a convenient thing for him to say. You don't pay $2,500 to kill somebody, because Greg Markham said the $2,500 payment was only the initial installment of what he allegedly was promising to Markham.
And I just want to remind you, Emery, even though he says he never wanted to see his wife dead, the judge at sentencing, who had listened to all the evidence, said that he was worried about Kim's safety. Green had appealed his conviction, was denied, but he was going to get out at some point. As for Kim, she told us that even now, even though Green is still behind bars as we speak, she still keeps a shotgun within easy reach.
And she also keeps those dogs around, too. She has the dogs still.
Yeah, and you know what's so great is that Felony and Storm are back with her. Zero has a new home, and I just want to remind people that because Zero was pregnant, she had puppies. So there were a lot of dogs, and there were people who benefited from Zero and her puppies.
That's fantastic. Well, I don't know. This is a hell of an odyssey, but thank you so much for joining us for this podcast.
Pleasure.
It was fun talking about this.
And thank you all for watching or listening to Postmortem. And if you like this episode, please rate and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.